Hey guys, welcome back to Lather Talk, your favorite wet shaving podcast. Coming up on this episode, we have a great conversation with Kyle, artisan and owner of Summer Break Soaps. We'll talk about how he got his start, as well as a brand new soap that's coming out very soon. I also have some exciting news to share. My co-host GERARD and his wife Sarah welcomed into the world their second child, a beautiful baby girl. We wish their whole family the best as they recover and adjust to life as a family of four. Also, a big thank you to the Lather Talk patrons. Thank you so much for your support of the podcast and YouTube channel. If you're in a position to help financially, check out our Patreon at www.patreon.com/lathertalk. If you're watching us on YouTube, please be sure to hit that like button. And if you're enjoying the show and you haven't done so already, consider becoming a subscriber to the channel and don't miss out on any new podcasts. Last but not least, if you've got any questions or comments, you can either leave a comment if you're watching the YouTube version, or you can email us over at latherhog@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode, and now onto our conversation with Summer Break Soaps.
You're listening to Lather Talk with your hosts John Shea and Gerard Gustillo.
Well, hello listeners and viewers. Welcome back to a new episode of Lather Talk. My very special guest today is Kyle from Summer Break Soaps, a artisan soap maker, maker of some wonderful products that I personally have been able to use in these past years of wet shaving, and just so happy to be able to talk to you today. Kyle, welcome to Lather Talk. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you. For the listeners and viewers at home, I reached out to Kyle probably back in the fall of 2023. I had the pleasure of meeting. Yeah, that's what I was like. Are you interested in coming on the podcast? I also had the pleasure of meeting you in person last June at the Maggard meetup, and that was a very fun time. We had very warm weather as well, but I think people were in good spirits, and I think even back then I planted the seed like, if you're interested in doing this kind of thing. So glad we could finally connect tonight. So
for sure,
a good place to start is always the beginning. So for the listeners who might not be familiar with Summer Break Soaps, can you just tell us a little bit about how the brand and name came about, when you got started, and kind of the that whole process?
Yeah. Let's see. I feel like I've told this story so many times that I'm gonna forget it myself. But we actually just had our 6th birthday.
Oh wow!
2 days ago. Yeah, March 1st was our 6th anniversary of being open. Thank you. It's crazy to think. I mean, not really the new kids on the block anymore or anything like that. But my wife and I, we both work in education, and so that's where the name came from. I don't know why of all education names we landed on Summer Break Soaps. I suppose probably because a lot of the formulation originally was done over the summer because we had a lot more free time then. Okay. But it kind of started out like many things when I discover a new hobby. So wet shaving, I dove, like probably many of you guys who are listening to this. If you're listening to a wet shaving podcast, you've probably dove really deep into a hobby. So but just dove deep in. And so I tried out restoring vintage razors. I tried out restoring vintage brushes. And then thought, I'll try making soap. So I started making soap. Yeah, had a lot of fun with it. But of course, quickly made a lot more soap than I would ever use. And so that's kind of where eventually I thought, well, maybe I should just sell some of this to my friends on the various forums and stuff. So, and then eventually we kind of took that next step. Oh, I forgot to mention too, my wife is really into cosmetics. And so that's kind of a little bit how we landed together doing that, as it blended a little bit of both of our hobbies together. So, started a business, and here we are 6 years later.
Wow, that's excellent. And so I mean, 6 years later, that's again, congratulations on hitting that mark. It really, it doesn't seem that long ago where it's like,
it doesn't.
When you guys first entered the scene, but oh wow, 6 years already. As far as like the division of responsibilities and whatnot in the day to day, would you say both you and your wife are still very involved? Has it shifted in in the years since you started? Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's pretty much, I'd say I do I don't know if she's listening to this or not, or she will be, but
Oh no,
she
I don't
may
want to get you in
disagree.
trouble.
Yeah. But I do most of the stuff now. She's more of a
Okay.
creative influence. I think she's got some good
Oh,
ideas for naming, especially. Some good scent, like starters. If you should make a scent, I really like apple. You should. And she kind of helps get me more of a creative muse type influence, I think, than I
okay.
do most of I get the not fun work of making the soap and packing the packages and stuff, and she gets the creative side.
I see. Well, I mean, it's very
Yeah.
important to have like the idea person, the creative person, and then
Mm-hmm.
if you're more the logistics and execution, I feel like that's a pretty
Mm-hmm.
good division of division of responsibility there.
For sure. Thanks for keeping me out of trouble.
Of course, my that was not
Looking
my
for the
intention.
positives.
Exactly, exactly. Well, very cool that it was an endeavor that you guys could, at the very least, get off the ground together, and
Hmm.
and still continue to work on as well. So
And at
okay.
bare minimum, I mean, she humored me. Like, I think there's a lot of wives out there who would say, no, you don't need to start a company making soap. That'll never work. But she humored me and supported me. So that alone is pretty awesome.
A supportive partner in your interests and hobbies, and even like dipping your toes. Yeah, I totally agree that that's a good situation to be in. I
Hmm.
am also lucky where my wife is encouraging of my stupid hobbies, including
Hmm.
wet shaving and making podcasts about wet shaving.
Uh-huh.
you know
Yeah.
not I don't think not a lot of people can say that their partners are so gung-ho, but I
Very
think we're
true.
we're both very lucky guys in that respect.
Agreed. Yep.
Okay. You also mentioned that you had an interest as a wet shaving hobbyist. Now,
Hmm.
this is always interesting. Like, do you remember at what point it became like, okay, you like wet shaving. This is what you're going to do now for grooming. But what was that point when you cross over to like hobbyist? Even if you
Hmm.
reluctantly use that term, do, was
Hmm.
was there a certain acquisition or event that coincided with it? You're like, yeah, I'm in this. I'm in this
Hmm.
deep.
Yeah, that's a good question. And I think there was maybe some different stages
Yeah.
because my kind of introduction to wet shaving was, I don't know if you remember, you probably do remember way back when Rockwell had the Model T on
Mm.
Kickstarter.
Hmm.
So I bought into that. I said, I'm going to start wet shaving when this thing gets released. But
Oh.
it was a year, I don't even remember what year it was. Probably been like, probably about 8 years ago, because it was a couple of years before I opened the business. But I asked my grandma if she just happened to have any of my grandpa's old shaving stuff, and she
Okay.
did. And so I acquired, I don't know, I bet 8 different Gillette razors, a couple shicks, some old brushes, and that I would say really started it because I cleaned all those razors up and decided I'm not going to wait for the Rockwell anymore. I'm going to use this slim adjustable. And so my very first shave was with a slim adjustable that belonged to my grandpa, which was really cool.
Wow. Oh, that's
Um,
awesome.
and so I think I kind of first got the bug for vintage Gillettes and stuff. So it wasn't necessarily the software side of things. That's where
Okay.
it started. And then I think, let's see, I won a pay it forward on our wet shaving,
Mm.
and that was probably my first taste of artisan soaps. But of course, I bought Purasso as my first soap, as so many of us do, which is
As you do.
okay. But so I picked up several, probably 4 or 5 artisan soaps, and that was probably what, wow, these smell really good. They're also really good. And kind of kickstarted that side of the software acquisition, which quickly took over the hardware, and I was all about collecting soaps.
Oh, I see. I see.
Yeah.
That's that's a good. I like how you started it off. That it starts as a progression because you're right. It kind of
Hmm.
that snowball effect is what happens, and in general, I love hearing about when people do have that connection from, from relatives. In case your
Hmm.
grandfather, there's people, their fathers or their uncles. Like, there's like an antique or something that gets passed down. It's
Hmm.
it's not necessarily like my wet shaving story, but it's one that I know like so many people that's how they got in, and that's why I think that's why it kind of takes hold. You know what I mean? Like it has a
Hmm.
very strong foundation to like, okay, then let me branch off now into aftershaves, and oh, maybe I'll get into fragrances, and then
Hmm.
loop back around, like, oh, let's go modern razors and titanium.
Hmm.
Yep, like the whole
Yep. Yep.
the whole
Exactly.
thing.
Yep. I'd never pay $200 for a razor and then Pay $200 for a few different razors.
Right.
Yep.
That's yes. The ceiling keeps rising as far as like,
Yep.
what would you spend on item X?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, Presso, like, why would I buy, pay more than this tub of Presso or tube of Presso,
Yeah.
whichever one you're using?
Yep.
And then, before you know it, $50 for some shave soap doesn't sound that bad.
No, not too bad. Yep, exactly.
If you're looking for a cool place to hang out with traditional shaving enthusiasts, come on down to the Lather Talk Discord. Share your shave of the days, mail calls, or talk about your favorite hardware or software, and just about everything in between. Once again, that's Lather Talk Discord. Check out the link below.
That's how you got to be a wet shaving hobbyist, and then how many years into wet shaving? I don't know if this too much time has passed, but like again, going from hobbyist to soap maker, about how much time was that into your time wet shaving? Did that happen?
I think about 2 years, if I remember right.
Okay.
So not a long time to decide, yeah, I should totally invest a bunch of money and start a business related to this.
Not at all. I mean, I'm sure there's people that we know that got in like within the first year. They might have.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Their hand at soap making, and other people are like 5-10 years later. Oh, maybe maybe I'll try this or that. So, but 2 years.
And
I think that's. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say it's just interesting looking back how much it's changed, because I feel like the bar of entry back then was, quite a bit lower than it is now. I think it'd be a lot harder to open a soap company now and find success versus 6 years ago.
For sure, and that might be something I'd like to pick your brain on later. And that, just like the way that the landscape looks nowadays versus. Well, I guess we can. Why not tackle it now? I mean, what is your kind of some of your observations as far as when you first came in? So if we're talking about if you celebrate 6 years and we're in 2024, math would put us at 2018, right? Yes, yeah,
yeah.
Okay, so like when you first hit the scene in 2018 versus now in March 2024, what are some of the big differences that you've noticed just in terms of artisans, the artisan shave
and I don't stay on top of as many new companies now as I used to. But at the time, I remember, I spent a good chunk of time on our wet shaving on Reddit, or at least I definitely did then. But that forum especially was turning out artisan after artisan. We had Noble Otter, West of Olympia, Southern Witchcraft, Summer Break Soaps, Red Panda. I think we were all within about a year of each other.
Wow. Okay.
And it's crazy looking at that list because, there's some Noble Otter and Southern Witchcrafts. There's some big, pretty heavy hitters making some really good stuff. And just thinking that, we kind of all got our start right within a year of each other.
Yeah.
I think the big difference that really changed between now and then was I got away with some pretty amateurish labels back then. My first labels were 3.5 inches big on a 4-inch tub. So there's giant white around the outside. I made them on some random app I found on the internet. I don't remember what app I was using. Probably much better than MS Paint, basically. But now, if I came out with labels like that, I'm not getting anywhere. It won't gain any traction in the market.
Yeah. And speaking of labels, I mean, there are even folks within the community that you've, I guess, either worked with or employed their help on. Is it mostly one designer that you work with currently?
Yep, I've only ever used one designer other than my amateur style. Yeah, which,
excellent.
I mean, Wise One, his Instagram and Reddit handle, he deserves a huge chunk of credit for my brand identity. I had that education idea. I had I don't know, I can't even describe it, but when he started doing my labels, he was able to connect the nostalgia that a lot of my scents have and bring it into the labels with his graffiti kind of style. I owe him a great deal, just because he really helped me find that brand identity.
For sure. And I wanted to mention Wise One because he's helped me as well with the
Hmm.
show
That's
of the
right.
Lather Talk logo.
Uh-huh.
Our recent soap release too. He's helped us with actually with both Lather Talk collaborations. He's the
Hmm.
person I've turned to. So definitely can co-sign on
Hmm.
his prowess as a graphic designer.
For
And
sure.
I also just want to like totally agree that there is something where when I see one of your labels, it's tied into that theme so well, and
Hmm.
even if it's like the name is Summer Break Soaps, but it's very it ties into you and your wife's education
Hmm.
background as well, and just things with it's not even just like one phase in school. So just like to rattle off some names that Kyle
Hmm.
has, Cannonball sticks out the most to
Hmm.
me, and especially in that graffiti style, kind of like with water and
Hmm.
summer. I mean, that one ties directly to the brand name. Woodshop, right? It's more
Hmm.
recent. Valedictorian, I've had the pleasure of using, and
Hmm.
those are all different phases. Those are like on like kind of going into your teenage years to like about to go from teenage years to like young adulthood. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's just it's very cool. I've always really enjoyed that story, the stories
Hmm.
behind your releases. Speaking of which, what is the bestseller or bestsellers
Hmm.
for you in terms of sense?
Probably, it comes and goes, but Cannonball's probably the best seller overall.
Yeah.
It's I mean I owe a huge chunk of the fact that I'm still here to Cannonball.
Hmm.
That came out our very first summer, our very first edition of that, and I don't know if that one wouldn't have came out. I don't know if we ever would have gained the attention to keep us going. But it's just such a unique, I mean, honestly, weird but enjoyable scent that it just really, really helped kind of help us establish ourselves.
Speaking of which, do you mind for those who might not be familiar with Cannonball, how would you describe the scent of Cannonball?
Trying to remember what I wrote in the copy all those years ago, but I think of it as like a tropical drink by a poolside. So you've got orange and pineapple, especially. Also, legitimately, the smell of chlorine smells like a swimming pool plus
Yes,
fruity.
yes.
And then, of course, it also has the synthetic menthol, which just adds to the whole experience of supposed to be like jumping into a pool on a hot day, feeling that cold water hit you.
I'm just bringing up the
Oh, nice.
for our video watchers. What? Yeah. So Cannonball here again because we are just talking about the label art. So I figured why not bring it up.
Hmm.
Yeah, that kind of maybe not graffiti, but it's like very like fun, like kind of like it's like bouncy,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of feel. So I mean, come on, I mean, you mentioned citrus, just
Hmm.
the feelings of like the summer's here, jumping in the pool, all that good stuff. I'm seeing let's see,
Hmm.
yeah, and your original copy, yeah. I mean, because this is we're a few years in now, but I
Yeah.
definitely remember. I remember using this one, and like, yeah, the chlorine. He's not kidding. It's definitely there,
Hmm.
and I don't know, that might seem off-putting to some people out there. Like, oh, why would like that's not the part
Hmm.
I like about swimming. But again, the nostalgia aspect of it, it's going to like it happened to me. It transports you there, and it's such a unique. There's nothing else like that. Uh,
Yeah.
sorry, there's nothing else like Cannonball that's on the market, and I feel like
Hmm.
your other ones kind of if not in that kind of not embodying that uniqueness, it still takes you on that journey, transports you to a place.
Hmm.
Again, I mentioned wood shop, but that one's probably no brainer. Like, oh, the smell of
Hmm.
like wood in the shop and
Hmm.
sawdust, and and it's maybe some of the machinery.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
I definitely
yeah,
try to be unique.
yeah,
Um, when I can. Some of them, maybe don't stand out as much in that unique kind of almost weird, but in a good way.
yeah,
Um, but
sure,
I try to do those every now and then. Sometimes they do great, other times, not so much, and they don't make the permanent list. But
yeah. No, definitely the creativity is there. And I know you're not like flooding the market with releases, but about like
mhm.
on average, how many new scents would you say you're releasing each year?
Right now, because I've been busy as heck outside of the soap making, wet shaving world, I'm shooting
Mhm.
for two. If I get
Okay.
two out in a year, I feel pretty good.
Yep.
I'm also trying to go more just permanently available, not so much seasonal or temporary release, just to make it easier.
Okay, you read my mind. I was gonna ask. Yeah, like then do they just become part of the catalog, and you're not really like rotating things in out. It's just the gradual growth of the library of scents for summer break soaps.
Yeah, at least for now. I feel like that makes it easier on my retail partners too, to not constantly have what's available, what's not available. Just
yeah, more SKUs to keep track of.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. And I still had the website loaded up, so I do see 6 cents. Is that correct? We have 6 in the lineup, or am I?
Yeah, 6. I had to turn around and count how many, because I've kind of just discontinued a few.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, like some of the older Bell Ringer, Homecoming, Picture Day have all been kind of discontinued within the past 6 months or so. And mostly due to they were still in the old label format. My plan is that some of them will probably eventually come back with a Wise One label at some point. No immediate plans, but
would you say, would it be helpful, especially for like listeners who are familiar and fans of summer break soaps? Is this the case where like the ones that rotate out, when there's enough demand, that'll kind of push it up in the queue
for sure? Yeah,
to be re-released, to be relabeled.
Yeah, for sure. If there was ever anybody who really wanted Bell Ringer or something, and they got some other people together, it would absolutely come back.
All right, so listeners, you heard that here.
There you go.
And this makes sense because I think the connection, the distance between kind of the consumer and like artisan goods is very close. Usually, it's not, or very rarely is it someone else that you guys are hiring out to take customer service or the request or even like social media. In which case, this is a great time to mention. Kyle and Summer Break Soaps. So I have you can find them over on Instagram at Summer Break Soaps, and these are all very straightforward. And the website that we'll probably pop in and out of during today's episode is www.summerbreaksoaps.com, just in case you guys want to know where to look, and obviously other online and probably brick and mortar retailers as well. So little plug there, because I forgot to do that earlier in the show. Where can you find them? And we'll do it at the end again, because it never hurts. So speaking of like customer interaction, I think that kind of gives me a good segue to bring up maybe some of the listener questions that we got. This comes from the Lather Talk Discord, guys. Whether you're watching this episode, if you're new or old, it's a great place to hang out with other wet shavers. There are other artisans. Kyle himself has seen some of these questions beforehand, so he's not going to be caught totally off guard. But it's a fun place. There's no obligation. You can, it's free to check out. No obligation to stay. So that's my personal invite for the folks to come out to the Discord, and you can give us questions too, like this, to be read on the show. So. You might have answered this one already, but Engineered Shaves asks, will you re-release History 101?
That's probably definitely one I've heard more requests for than others. That one got discontinued probably 3 to 4 years ago. It was one of our original 3 cents that hasn't been around for a while. So eventually, my goal was always to make a History 202, like a kind of new version of it, but I have not been working on that, so we'll see. We'll see which way I decide to go.
Gotcha. That's a clever way to to have to name the updated version. So I really like that.
Along with that too, just kind of a random thing that I do. In my bath soap and shampoo bars, a lot of times I will still make old discontinued soaps in those forms, just because I know some people are still. So every now and then, if you look, you'll see some soap that I haven't made for 4 years in a bath soap form, just for fun.
Okay, all right, that's great. So keep an eye out for that, guys, on the Summer Break Soap site for you said bath bars and shampoo bars.
Yep.
Awesome, that's really cool. Follow-up question from Engineered Shaves though as well. Any plans on changing the soap base at all, or is there a new soap base on the horizon, or are things going to remain the same for, let's say, for 2024?
That's a good question. I think short term they'll remain the same. What I like about this soap base, and I still hear a lot of comments that it's a lot of people's favorite, one of their favorite bases out there. But with this base, I feel like I may be able to keep my price point lower than a lot of competitors with still just as good of a shave. So I'm guessing more than likely an updated soap base could include a price increase as well. So I've been working on it a little bit, but it's still a ways out.
Okay, good to know. I thought I jotted this down, but I know someone asked, like, some soap makers have a name for their soap base. Is there any like in-house or official name for the summer break soaps shave soap base?
So it's funny you say that. I'm fairly certain when I originally released it, I called it Honor Roll or something. Or it was something education related, and I mentioned it a few times and it never stuck. But last year, I think it was during the Lather games on our wet shaving, one of the contestants decided to nickname it Doug. And since then has referred to my soap base as Doug several times.
Really?
So I feel like that's actually stuck a little bit. So I don't know that Doug is the official name of the base, but it is kind of funny to think that the soap base's name is Doug.
I could see that gaining some traction for the our wet shaving Reddit crowd, especially if it's during Lather games and people I don't know, everyone's just amped up during the event, amped up or like a little loopy from like just trying
to
a little bit
both.
Day in day out. Right? So that question I probably saw was from one of our Reddit friends.
Probably.
Yeah. This other one I mentioned just before we started recording. So there are a lot of questions about your remote learning soap. And just before we dive into the questions, can you give, for those uninformed, a quick recap? What was the remote learning release and the and the idea behind that?
Yeah. So, what year would that have been? It had to be 2021. I originally, for April Fool's Day, I posted that I was doing a Doritos and Mountain Dew scent. Obviously, pretty clear April Fool's Day prank. Really not even a good one, because who would actually make that? But then, surprise, I did make it. I made 2 sets.
Joke's on you.
It was on me. And so I gave away, I gave away 1 set on Reddit and 1 set on Instagram.
Okay.
And so originally there was 2 sets, and then I figured who'd want this stuff. So over the following years, next 2 years, of course, people keep asking, "Are you going to do that again? Are you going to do that again?" And then finally, kind of like you mentioned a bit ago, a bunch of people got together and said, "Hey, if I get," I didn't remember what number. I think he said 10, and I just humored him and said, "Sure, yeah, if you can find 10 people to want cheese soap." Thinking nobody would want cheese soap, but then I was wrong. A lot of people wanted cheese soap. And so was that about a year ago? I don't even remember when I did that, but I released remote learning, which is nacho cheese scented soap combined with Mountain Dew scented aftershave.
Wow.
And then as a special, did you get one, John? I can't remember. You didn't get one, did you?
No,
you're smarter than that.
I definitely. No, I didn't remember. Like I was cracking up. I definitely like when you posted it originally. I was like, "Oh, this is so good." So, but no, I did not go for one.
I don't blame you. That is the only soap I've ever made that I did not keep one of. Everything else I keep one of, and I even gave them a small EDP of the cheese combined with the Mountain Dew. Yep. So that was their punishment. They had to agree to wear that at least once.
Wow. Yeah. That's. I mean, you made it fun though. This is what you guys asked for. That's great though. As far as like the interaction between.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, like fellow hobbyists and obviously like and fans of the brand. You know what? I was gonna say, I thought the shave soap was both kind of what you did with the EDP. I thought it was both Mountain Dew and cheese, like Doritos in the soap.
Yeah,
it was okay. It was thankfully kept separate.
I know it makes it a little better, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Well,
Because the
okay, so
aftershave's not so bad. The Mountain Dew
yeah,
splash, that's okay. But
yeah.
the soap,
The cheese soap is the
not so
harder
much.
sell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. I agree with that. So okay, so now that you guys have the background to what remote learning was,
Yeah.
I did have a few questions here. Saint Bandicoot asks, how much Mountain Dew and how many Doritos were consumed in perfecting the flavor of the remote learning set?
Probably a good amount of Doritos. I haven't had a Mountain Dew, I bet, in 10 years, though. So I did buy some for some pictures, but then I don't remember what I did with it. I think I gave it to somebody, but
Just for props.
I like to tell myself that was healthier, that I just ate 3 bags of Doritos in a sitting and didn't drink any Mountain Dew, so it's healthy.
Yeah. So of course, like it's original Doritos for the scent there, but
Hmm.
amongst like I feel like there's a lot of great flavors in Doritos, especially since we were kids. Like what is
Hmm.
your go-to like favorite Dorito flavor? Are you
That's a
Cool
good
Ranch man?
question.
Original?
I mean, I do like Cool Ranch. I like both. I can't think of what they're called. They come in a purple bag. Those are my favorite, but I can't remember what they're called.
Oh, my friends, that is my favorite. That is the sweet chili flavor, which
That's
is
it. Yep.
the forgive me. It's the purple bag, like Kyle said.
Yes. Yep.
It's so good, man. Like you
That
open
is
the
a good
bag, and
one.
you're like,
Yep.
"Oh, I have a few.
Yep.
Yeah, 3/4 of a bag later, and you're like, I'm just gonna finish it
Yep.
off.
Yep.
Follow-up question from Saint Bandicoot: were Doritos dipped in the remote learning soap to compare taste profile of the soap to its inspiration head to head in the same bite?
I did see this question. No, they
Yeah,
were
okay.
not, because turns out soap does not taste very good.
Yeah. Let's put that out there, guys. Don't eat the soap. Okay, no matter
Yeah,
how
don't
good
eat
it
the
smells,
soap.
whether it's
Yeah.
remote learning or some other, guan. I know there's people do cologne dupe soaps that they want to
Yeah.
eat. It smells good, and leave it to that. Don't eat the soap.
I,
Let's not
I'm
do that.
curious, just because we're on the subject, John, do you know what the Zap test
Yeah.
is for
Oh, yeah.
soap makers?
It's your test.
I was gonna
What are you
say
testing
I've
there? Is
tasted
it like
soap to see if
yeah,
the lye has saponified or not. So you literally touch the
yeah.
cooking soap to your tongue, and if it feels like you're licking a 9-volt battery, it's not done yet. So literally, I have
But
tasted my soap.
yes, but that's as a responsible soap maker, not as a like
Yes,
whoa
yes, yeah. Not to taste
enthusiast.
test it
Not
intentionally.
to taste test. Yeah. So
Yeah,
yes, I did think of the Zap test, and I'm glad you mentioned it because yeah,
yeah,
you literally do have to. Or I mean, I'm sure there's other ways, but it's a very easy,
yeah,
low cost.
yep.
You don't need you don't need extra tools. You use what you
Uh
got,
huh.
and you can figure it out. It's a question, but I think just to throw his hat in there, Arch Soup did ask, can you please make the remote learning splash a full-time offering?
Uh
Notice,
huh.
no mention of the soap. He just wants
Yes,
he just
yes. Just the
wants the
splash. That
aftershave.
is a good point.
So there's another vote for you. Um, you don't have to say yes or
Hmm.
no, but he would like that.
There was
Uh,
another artisan that had a Mountain Dew soap and splash at some point. I can't remember who it was, but I know there was one out there at one point.
yeah.
Maybe
What was it?
Central Texas.
Yes, yeah. They did
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper and a Mountain Dew,
Uh
and
huh.
I feel like there's like other like K Shave Works. Do you remember them
Oh
from
yeah, I do
few
remember
years back?
them. Yeah.
One of the two of the earliest soaps I tried from them was a grape soda and a orange soda, which those were fun, and I'm pretty sure they had
Yeah.
a Mountain Dew too. So yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There might be others out there, but I think a lot of people like this remote learning, that extra thematic element to
Hmm.
this. Funny enough, one final question. I guess all my questions are about remote learning, really.
Uh huh.
Um, yeah. So Calzilla3 asked me to ask you, why does your Old Spice dupe smell like Doritos? And when are you going to remedy this issue?
Nice. I knew that Old Spice would have to be a part of that.
Yeah, I'm
You
not. I think I got a quick explanation, but I feel like there's a story behind this.
know, yeah, just his Old Spice. He has a thing with Old Spice and testing every
Oh yeah,
Old
yeah.
Spice scent, and um, I almost want to say I should make him a cheesy Old Spice scent just for
Oh,
him, but I don't want to put that out there because then there'll be a whole group of them that get together and actually make me make that come true. So I don't know that I could handle that.
in case you move forward with that idea, a good name for it could be gym class,
Um,
locker room, locker room,
yes, that's probably what it smelled like too.
right?
So
Like
that is
you're thinking
a
like teenage,
yes,
teenage boy plus Doritos. Oh God,
yes, yep, yep,
no, we have a lot of we have a lot of bad ideas on this show.
yeah. That's
Yeah,
up there.
yeah. So okay, Old Spice and cheese. If enough of
Yep,
you guys are, ballsy enough to ask
yep.
for it, Kyle will meet you there.
My minimum order might be a lot lower than 10, like last time for that one though.
What if it's more? What if it's like you got to make like a
Yeah,
batch of like 20 or 25 out of
yeah, yep.
possible. You never know.
No,
Yeah. So a lot of the Discord members, a lot of the Lather Talk listeners really love that remote learning set. So, uh, are there plans? I mean, it's around the corner, April Fool's Day. Is
hmm
that something that you could share, or is that kind of still a secret if it's coming back
there
this year?
there are not plans. I'll just say there's won't be anything this year. I do have another April Fool's idea that I've always wanted to make come true, but it's not has
Okay.
nothing to do with Doritos but it won't
Okay.
be this year. As I've
Your April Fool's idea, or do you mean remote learning won't be this year?
well, remote learning won't be. Neither one will be this year. I kind of forgot
Damn
about
it.
April Fool's Day until now.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Also, funny little bonus info is my eldest, my son, was born on April 1st, so
Oh, really?
he's my April Fool. Yeah.
That's awesome. Does he have the personality to match? Like, you got to have a certain personality being born on April Fool's, I feel like.
No, he's pretty introverted. Funny kid,
Oh,
great kid,
okay.
but
Yeah.
he's not like attention seeker or like a jokester. Like that's not really his personality.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be the sneaky stuff as he gets older. Be like the
He's
sneaky, funny stuff.
yeah, that like doing pranks and stuff like that. If
Hmm.
anything, that'll be he could get behind that. I can see because
Uh-huh.
he likes to think he's sneaky, as
That's
many
awesome.
little kids do. But
Yeah.
so we're already. I mean, so we're already talking about like what's coming down the lines, and might as well
Hmm.
expand that a little bit. Is there anything that you can share? And it's okay also if it's kind of still under wraps or in development. But
Hmm.
if there's anything you can share, what we might be able to look forward to this coming year
Hmm.
from Summer Break Soaps.
So I do have something that'll hopefully make it out April-ish. Kind of running out of time for that, but I just actually got final design files from Wise One today. Um,
Oh,
so
nice.
I haven't shared much about that, but I can share a little bit here, kind of as a
Oh, okay.
um, first
As long
time
as
about it. So
if you're comfortable
yeah,
doing that, yes, we'd love to hear
yeah,
whatever you'd like to share about this upcoming release.
yeah. I just I mean, I've got everything ordered, so it's happening whether people want it or not. So
Very good.
um,
Very good.
but it's called Troublemaker, which I think is kind of a fun name in our theme. And Wise One knocked the labels out of the park as usual. Trying to think what I suppose I can share a little bit about the scent. I've had it ever since I began in wet shaving. Lavender has been one of my favorite notes. I think I was blown away initially. One of my first soap I ever had was Flowers in the Dark, by Dr. John's. Just an amazing scent. And I think I always had that floral, cleaner, like idea of lavender in my head that it was a super sweet, super,
Mm, yeah.
and so when I smelled what lavender really smells like, that kind of darkness, I was just hooked on it. And so I've tried my hand at lavender scents a few times over the years. Brain was one of my initial scents. It was a lavender peppermint vanilla scent. And
Mm,
then I don't remember what year it was, but a couple of years later, Homecoming came out. Lavender neroli forward,
mhm.
with lots of other stuff going on, and then that one has been discontinued. So Troublemaker is my newest lavender um, stab at
Oh,
lavender, and
nice.
definitely the darkest lavender I've done.
Very exciting. Okay, well,
Hmm.
we have that to look forward to. And you said aiming for April, if not
Yeah.
sometime
Yep.
sometime in the near future. It sounds like.
Yep. Yep. Starting to get everything made now.
Mhm.
Just waiting on my scents stuff to get here so I can finish it up.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate like getting that
Hmm.
little little preview for it.
Yeah,
and
you got the scoop. Yeah.
Got the scoop. Yep. Always love that. That's good podcast material. But also we'll be sure to keep an eye on social media though, as you kind of tease out the official scent notes and like the label and all that good stuff. So
yeah,
looking forward to it for sure. So okay, so we've talked a lot about wet shaving, which is not always the case on this show. So I think now we got that out of the way. Which just as far as your kind of your hobbyist journey though, just to kind of go back to that wet shaving, would you say like now that you got your soap making in the mix, if you want to call it hobby engagement or something separate, but do you still engage with that side, whether it's trying new stuff or even just like I don't know, is the level of enjoyment still there, or has it faded a little bit more just to like this is the routine, it is what it is, it's enjoyable, but it's like not a mad scramble, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's a fair characterization of it. I still enjoy the community, I still enjoy interacting with the community, but I don't spend a whole lot of money buying much stuff anymore. Every now and then something will catch my eye, and I'll pick up a set or pick up a new razor or brush, but it's only probably a couple times a year at this point. I'm kind of more now on the routine, and I really enjoy killing soaps off now. Like that's such a good feeling now at this point to finish up a tub, and especially finish up a bottle of aftershave. That's even more of a reward because that takes forever to do.
I think I've won.
Yeah.
Maybe, like
yeah, it's hard.
One's almost done, but yeah, there's always more aftershave than soap. And so piggybacking off of that, what would you say, like was your typical setup like, as far as like, is there a certain rotation of razors that you're kind of sticking to nowadays, or certain brushes, like what have you settled on kind of as far as that setup?
Yeah, I've got, let's see, 6, 12. I've got a razor stand in my bathroom that holds 12 razors. And 5 of them are modern razors. 7 are vintage razors. And so at this point, I literally just rotate around and use them in order. Brushes, same. I've settled on, I think, let's see, 4 of my own handles, 3 of Dogwood's handles, 1 decoration handle, and then a couple of vintage restored handles. And again, I just kind of rotate through.
It's for both. It sounds like a good mix, like how you mentioned, like the modern and the vintage ones. So all right, very good. So that's how wet shaving your wet shaving hobby looks like. Do you have other do you have time for other hobbies? Because you mentioned you're an educator. I think you mentioned. Do you and your wife have children as well?
Yep. We have 2 kids, 8 and 5.
Okay.
So they keep us busy.
Yeah.
I have a problem where I end up staying too busy. So in addition to my normal job, I teach a couple classes at the local university. My son and I do taekwondo a couple times a week.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. I also randomly make beer. I try to run a lot. Like I do too much sometimes.
Okay. So beer making. So what would you say, like running? I mean, obviously that could be just your like favorite mode of exercise, but are you like are you into like marathons and stuff like that, or like 10Ks? Like how hardcore are we talking about with the running?
Yeah. Half marathons mostly. My goal is to run a full I'd like to run a full marathon at some point, but that's a ways out. I'm not actively training for one or anything.
Okay. Oh, good for you. That's great. I have plenty of hobbies as well, but like I hope I can like pick up a healthy one like like that. Like, getting in shape. That's my hobby. Like, damn it. I need that bug to bite me.
Yeah. It's came and gone. Like sometimes I get really into it and then I won't for a year.
I asked about the marathons too because I'm in Boston, so the Boston Marathon. If you ever wind up running in it and come this way, please let me know. It'd be great to have a beer afterwards or something.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
I doubt I make it that far, but maybe.
Okay,
that's good motivation. That's worth it. I'll do it just to have a beer in Boston.
I meant to ask, where's home base for you as far as city and state go?
So I live in Kearney, Nebraska, is
Okay.
where Summer Break Soaps is, and that literally, if you picture the United States, Kearney is about as central as possible, smack dab in the middle of Nebraska, which is smack dab in the middle of the U.S. So,
Oh wow. Okay. All right. So yeah, I'm a little far from you. So no
yep,
hard feelings.
yep.
Yeah. And beer making, is that one of those things where it's like every now and then you dabble with, or like you go through
hmm
spurts of it? How often does that look, or what does that look like?
Yeah, it's pretty much the same as running. Actually, that was my hobby pre soap making. Was I was pretty into beer making.
Oh, okay.
And then I kind of pivoted to wet shaving and soap making, actually sold all of my beer making stuff. And then
Oh
about a year and
wow.
a half ago, I was kind of like, I kind of missed that. So I bought some equipment and started doing that again.
Okay. Okay. Very nice. Oh, sorry. And you mentioned you also teach some classes in some local colleges and whatnot.
hmm
Uh, what is your area of concentration or expertise? I don't know what
hmm
the best way to say it is as far as education goes.
So I'm a school psychologist. So that's my specialty, I guess.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
So I teach school psychology grad students a couple
Okay.
classes.
Okay.
And I also, my role in education is I work with alternative ed kids. We call it a non-traditional school. So it's kids who have struggled to be successful
Mm.
middle or high school kids in the like more traditional setting. And so then they come to our school and I just absolutely love working with them. It's really an awesome job.
Like so, in your day to day work, then are the students like? Is it like behavioral needs? Is there like developmental? Like,
hmm
is it all encompassing as far for alternative education, or is it more one than the other?
Probably more. I mean, there are behavioral needs, but honestly, what we see the most, really, especially post-pandemic, is anxiety.
Okay,
Just the
gotcha.
struggle to cope with, being in a larger building and
Yeah.
just going about daily life. And so we do a lot of support of kids who are anxious about things.
Okay. That is a great. I mean, it's I would say great service you're providing. It's a great role,
hmm hmm
and having your involvement in that because, just my wife's in education too,
Uh-huh.
and just everything, especially kind of the hop on words there are post pandemic.
Yeah.
For viewers who might be either too young to have kids or don't have kids, and that's totally fine. But I do know it's a very difficult position to be. For the students to be in, and we're talking about everything from like you can say preschool all the way through high school and
hmm
college. It's just there are all these other factors, and um, yeah, I'm just glad there's more like support in that way.
For sure.
Because traditionally, it's like okay, well, too bad if your family helps you
Yeah.
seek the that assistance or that help, great, and if not, you're kind of left on your own.
hmm
And how long have you been in education now?
So this is
Or
my
sorry, in
11th
the role?
year.
Okay, that's quite. I'm even in those 11 years. I'm sure it has changed drastically.
Yeah, it's crazy to look back and see how it's changed and how I've changed too. I mean, 11 years ago, if somebody would have told me I'd be working at an alternative high school, I would have said, absolutely not, I won't be. But
Yeah,
now I can't imagine doing anything else.
yeah. Would your younger self have just thought like same role in a more traditional setting then?
Probably. And I probably initially thought, I want to work with elementary kids. And now there's no way in heck you could get me to go work with elementary kids.
Oh, really? What's
Yeah.
was it more high school aged
Yeah.
or okay?
Yeah. We have high school, middle school. And my whole career has been high school, middle school kids.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time tonight, Kyle. And again, really appreciate you coming on
hmm
the show. To wind down our conversation on a positive note, I'd like to ask you: could you share three things that you are thankful for? And it can be big things, small things, no judgment. There's no expected answer, but
hmm
three things that you are thankful or grateful for.
It's awesome that you do this just as a total side note because I teach social skills. And I start every single class with my kids and make them write something every day that they're grateful for, or that makes them smile, or something like that. And so it's cool that you end the episode this way, and now I feel what they feel like, being put on the spot. So the first things that pop into my head is my kids. Obviously, it's so cool watching them get bigger. And I mean, my little girl, my baby's 5 years old now, and will go to kindergarten in the fall, and it's just crazy. But to see her become herself, see my son begin to mature. I mean, in a few years he'll be in middle school, which is crazy to think about. So my kids for sure. I better say my wife. I keep giving her a hard time in this, but really I am thankful for my wife. She's always supported me. On the day we had that Summer Break Soaps turned 6 years old was also the anniversary that her and I began dating. And so we've been together for 16 years. And that's crazy to think that 16 years. And
congratulations.
So she's had my back for that much time. And then just to wrap up our conversation too, I'm grateful for my job. I really enjoy my job. Because the school where I work at only opened just shy of 3 years ago now.
Oh, really?
And before that, so it was a new role for me. And before that, I felt like I was probably destined towards burnout. I liked my job, but it wasn't that enjoyable. And that school really helped me change that, and where I enjoy going to work. So I'm thankful for that too.
That's so awesome to hear. So I'm so glad you shared that. Thank you for sharing the 3 things that you're grateful for. I'm glad to hear also that your students that you work with also do a very just practicing gratitude. Great way to not get weighed down by the negativity out there. So keep great to hear about your work there, and of course great to hear about what's going on with Summer Break Soaps. And again, looking forward to Troublemaker that's coming out. Let's get Kyle's plugs in on the way out here. So again, if that sounded interesting to you, if you want to badger him about remote learning, soap, aftershave, or our new idea of like gym class or locker room, please hit him up on Instagram at Summer Break Soaps. Again, visit the website for all the goodies. You can find some discontinued shave soap scents. It might still exist in bath soap and shampoo bars. So that might be a boon to some of you out there who are having withdrawals on your favorite scent from Kyle. And all that, all that being said, thank you so much, Kyle, for your time, for lending us your time to get to know about you a little bit more, to get to know about Summer Break Soaps. Greatly appreciate that.
Yeah, I appreciate being here. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, and we'd love to have you on sometime. In case viewers forgot, GERARD is out on paternity leave from the show as he figures out he just had his second born. I did not get clearance to find out. To share. So I might have him just record a little audio thing to give people the update. But yes, little baby girl, GERARD's baby girl was born a few days ago from the time of this recording. So he's figuring stuff out, and you'll hear from him again. But for now, we thoughts and prayers and just kind of good vibes going out to him, his wife, as they welcome this new one in the world. So again, Kyle, thank you so much.
That is really awesome.
Yeah. He's part of the two kid club now.
Please tell him I said hi and congratulations. I guess he'll hear this, but please tell him.
Oh yeah, of course. I will pass on the word. But thank you, Kyle. Thank you, listeners and viewers, for tuning in today. We hope you enjoyed this conversation and hope to catch you in the next episode as well. So take care. Thank you, Kyle. You have a great night.
You too. See ya.